Good morning. I'm Lisa Bottoms, Executive Director of NAMC, Northern Ohio Chapter, and I will be your MC for today's event. We are so excited to have you with us for our 6th Level Up session, Marketing 101. I want to thank our platinum sponsors for today's session, Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority and First Energy Foundation. And I want to also thank Low Key Entertainment for providing our technical assistance for the session, and Verna Lee, the Candy Lady, for providing our host gifts. So today we're going to discuss Marketing 101 and the importance of maximizing your time, money, and resources. And we have an esteemed panel to share different strategies for improving your marketing success. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about NAMC. So what is NAMC? NAMC stands for the National Association of Minority Contractors. NAMC is the oldest minority construction trade association in the United States. We have 21 chapters across the United States, and our main objective is to bring diversity and inclusion to the forefront of the construction industry. Our footprint takes place in Cleveland, Toledo, Akron, Canton, and Youngstown, and Warren. Our mission is to provide opportunities, advocacy, and contractor development training. NAMC Northern Ohio Chapter works in collaboration with our corporate, community, and public partners. Please consider joining NAMC Northern Ohio Chapter to get information on the latest construction jobs, training, and advocacy positions that impact minority businesses. We'd like to recognize our corporate partner members, Whiting Turner, Turner Construction, Gilbane Construction Company, Metro Health, Key Bank, and First National Bank. We are looking for additional corporate sponsors as well, so if you'd like to contact me, feel free to do that. Now let's switch to setting the stage. NAMC's Level Up program is one of our 4 core programs that assists members, both union and non-union, with building capacity. Each NAMC board member is responsible for planning a Level Up session. Today's Marketing 101 was created by Kyle Jones. Kyle grew up following the lead of his father, James Jones, whom we'll meet later in this program. Kyle is the founder and president of KBJ Construction. KBJ Construction strategically focuses on general contract, construction management, facilities, and grounds management. Kyle has over 27 years of construction experience and was part of the construction management team responsible for high-profile projects such as Jacobs Field and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum. So let's get started. Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you.
So Kyle, tell me, why is marketing important for business owners to consider?
Well, without a plan, it's like having a roadmap to get to where you want to get to. You need deliverables to be able to measure whether you're achieving your goal or not. Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And so what would you tell companies what are the kinds of marketing things they should have in place?
You need to understand who your customer is. You need to understand who your competition is.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. All right.
Mm. And so, are there any type of methods or methodologies that are important for construction companies to have?
Well, I've been a part of a professional marketing group that's national here in Cleveland, and what I noticed, not only do they have descriptions of their companies as far as company brochures that they hand out, but they host events like every month with potential customers to find out what projects are coming up. And it gives you face-to-face time. We need more face-to-face, but we need to understand the market that we're in, and we need to understand our customers' needs. And there, I saw one of the questions is, what's the difference between marketing and sales? Marketing is putting a plan together, sales is going out and executing. So.
I see. Well, Kyle, I'm really excited for today's event. We're going to talk about all those things, the different types of methods and methodologies that construction companies, whether you're a young construction company or an older construction company, you can do to improve the relationships with your key audiences, right?
Right.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you so much. So let's get to the meat of our program. You are in for a treat. 2 generations of construction industry companies, father and son, having an in-depth conversation. James Jones is the president and COO of Jones Technologies, a firm focused on facility maintenance, operation, construction, and construction management. He has over 40 plus years in the construction industry, in particular in the areas of mechanical contracting, engineering, and design project management for major government and industrial complexes. Mr. Jones is the recipient of the Outstanding Minority Contractor of the Year and Administrator Award of Excellence. I would like to turn it over to Kyle Jones, who will be conducting our Building Foundation Spotlight with his dad, James Jones.
Good morning, Mr. Jones.
Good morning.
Well, I know about you, but our audience might not know your history. My first question for you is, how did you get started in construction? Tell me how it first began.
Well, basically started in construction as a offshoot of going to college and realizing that people who were classmates of mine coming out of college that clearly weren't making the opportunities that they should. They weren't getting the opportunities in their field. They were finding themselves going to work for the post office when they were engineers. So I decided, well, let me do something to make money. So I applied to apprenticeship programs, and I was accepted into all of them. I first started in HVAC over 50 years ago. And as such, I got an opportunity to learn various aspects of the industry on a first-hand basis, and thus basically starting my own company after 6 years of being in the business, realizing that there was a glass ceiling, and as such you had to do it yourself.
So you say HVAC, can you specifically what you joined the union? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Which particular trade?
Well, the trade I went through was the sheet metal workers, which basically
Local 33.
Local 33 develops all HVAC systems that you see within major buildings. All the ductwork, ventilation systems are basically installed and fabricated by them. As such, most of your major buildings throughout the country have major HVAC systems in them. As you can see right now with COVID, they have to be modified. We're going with one-pass air as opposed to recirculating air as we have in the past. So the industry is growing astronomically now.
Would you say that back then in the construction trades in 1966, you were embraced in the industry?
No, I was the first black in the union. They were basically being forced by the federal government to accept blacks into the union about 3 or 4 years after I got in, because there was a federal mandate that there was less than 1% of minority participation within most of the construction unions at that point.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
So when you started, did they tell me, did they teach you? Did you have on-the-job training immediately, or what did they have you do when you first started?
Well, basically, you had to go through the apprenticeship program. First 6 months, you're taking classes, you're working during the day, and you take classes every week.
But what did they have you do when you originally, I'm trying to get to the truck drive?
Oh, yeah, right. Well, originally, instead of actually training you, they put me on as a truck driver. driving materials back and forth to the job. So after several months, I went to the union and said, you know, this is not what I signed up for. If I wanted to be a truck driver, I'd gone and hired as a teamster. So basically, they came back to me and said, you're going to be working in a shop for fabrication and design. So that's what I did. They moved me from the shop that I was at and moved me to another company, and at that point, I really started to learn the business.
Okay. Next question. So you said that after 6 years, you saw that there was a glass ceiling, and you decided to start your own business.
Exactly.
What was that business? Can you give us a brief history of?
Well, I started out with a company that was to basically provide piping systems for various industrial and commercial customers, but ended up finding that there was a hard sell to get into that industry. People were always approaching me to do their mom and pop stores and what have you, so that's where I really started doing mom and pop stores. And that thrust me into major commercial projects as well.
Hello? Sorry, I guess my mic wasn't on, but it was originally on and I just turned it. But anyway, so tell us more about your business. Tell us about your first government contract. Tell us about the first opportunity, or the one that I know about.
Well, we've had several
But the
government
one-
contracts, but the one
Tell
that
us.
stands out for most people and myself is the fact that the Lord blessed us to get an opportunity at the NASA Lewis Research Center. I'd approached them a number of times, but I got an opportunity through a business development program to meet with the head purchasing agent, Mr. Kelly, at NASA Lewis Research Center at the time. It's NASA Glenn now, but then it was Lewis Research Center. He told me that I'll give you 3 opportunities. He says, if you go out and you're successful on any of those 3, he said, I'll continue to send you work. So all 3 projects that he gave me, we were low bid on. We were awarded projects. We brought those projects in below budget and on time and quality service. So at that point, basically opened the floodgates to us.
So it just takes one opportunity, right?
Well, it takes the right opportunity with the
Right customer.
right customer and the blessings of the Lord, first and foremost.
So tell us about when you first pulled up to the gate at NASA. Did you have a pickup truck? How did you get your tools? How did you all get your tools there?
Originally, we had a pickup truck, but for the large projects that we were doing at NASA, literally had to go and rent a U-Haul truck to get it there, because clearly we didn't have the finances. They had the type of truck in our own discipline to carry those tools long term.
So what did your customer think when they saw you pull up in the middle?
They thought we were Sanford and Son, and we were going to fall flat on our face, and that they wouldn't have to worry about us after the first 2 jobs, and we'd be out of there. But as it turned out, we became the largest competition for the largest contractor there at the time was Feldman Corporation, and we started taking their work. So we were chastised, but we weren't supposed to be there. We needed to stay in our own lane. But as you can see, we're still around, and they're no longer around.
So what was the most memorable financial mistakes that you made as you built your company? And how did you recover?
One of the key things that I think that any company going into business has to realize that the system, and for the most part, is only made for those who this country was built around. When you go to the banker and the banker tells you that, I lend you the amount of money that you have in our bank, and that's all I'll give you, that gives you an indication that that's total resource that you have. If you go back to another bank and they ask you, well, what do you have that you can put up as equity? And you tell them the only thing you have is your home. Well, they will mortgage your home, They will put everything that you have, and they will charge you the highest interest there is. That's the major mistake most businesses make. But one that goes beyond that, in my opinion, is that taking on small business loans. You never want to take on small business loans. You finance your work through your work. You take on small projects until you can get to a larger project. And a larger project takes you to the next largest project. You never want to jump into the pool with no floaties on, because at the end of the day, you're going to drown. And we don't want to be in that situation as a people.
Okay, what would 74-year-old James Jones tell 30-year-old James Jones?
Well, we were blessed, and we continue to be blessed, and we're still here.
That's what you.
That's what I would
advice
tell
that
you. That's the advice I'd give me at 30, because at 30, we had the opportunity to move into facilities maintenance. And facilities maintenance is the opportunity to operate military bases. We were operating military bases throughout the country. We started out at NASA. NASA basically gave us the first opportunity. We grew that contract from 23 people in plumbing to 230 people plus at the end of the contract.
So would you tell 30-year-old James Edward Jones to focus on what got you there?
Right, it's your customer base that you have.
The federal government.
The federal government, right,
Okay.
which got us there.
Yeah. So everyone talks about the huge success and wins that went on in the city of Atlanta for minority businesses. How would you replicate that here?
The city of Atlanta basically has a core of a minority community that feeds from within itself. That is their basis of success. They look to each other, they support each other in every aspect of their businesses. Their businesses have grown phenomenally because they don't let outsiders come in and take their work. We traditionally bring other companies in to do work that we should be giving to people within our own community. That's what I see as their success.
What should new companies focus on, in your opinion, initially?
First of all, honing your skills in the area that you're going to provide services to, whatever your customer base is. Then focusing in on developing that customer base based on services rendered. And believe me, word of mouth is the best aspect of this business. People will allow the work that you're doing if it's quality, and on the other side of that coin, if it's bad, they'll do that too. So that's what I'm saying. Take your customer base and build on that.
Okay. Can you explain a few strategies on how to win contracts?
Well, the first thing you want to do is look at the work that you've done, build on the basis of what you've experienced in the past. If you've taken work and you know that you've been successful and your profit margins are well within a certain industry, stay focused on that industry, because if you move outside of that industry, you're moving out into somebody else's backyard, and you don't know what the game is, that's when you start losing money, and you lose it very fast, and you put yourself out of business.
So I see a lot of minority businesses try to offer a plethora of things that, you know, they're, what is it, master of none? They're, what's the saying?
Well, the saying is that.
Well, I'm 50, so my mind's not that good.
Basically that you basically do everything, but you do nothing well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically what you're saying is
Right.
find something that you're good at.
Right.
Focus on that.
And
And
that will carry you through.
what are 3 to 5 things minority businesses need to be more successful in marketing their companies and building relationships? What do they need to do?
Well, they need to, first of all, come to the table as an equal. And when I say come to the table as an equal, have your finances, your bonding, your insurances, everything that you need to be a professional within your industry in place. Second thing you want to do is to find out what the customer needs. All right, don't basically anticipate. Find out what they actually need and what they use on a continuous basis. That will allow you to come to that marketplace and be successful.
Being a solutions provider rather
Right.
than, and in both cases, I would say, rather than coming with your hand out, you come offering a solution to their problem.
Exactly.
And, that's what I see that works. What do you think about partnerships? Partnering with, when we partner with these larger companies in our field, do you think
Well, sure.
being able to come as an equal, you need to be able to establish yourself already because they respect those that they know don't really need to work with them, right?
Exactly. And there are a lot of instances where you'll see firms that have been successful because they won't accept the crumbs off the table. They're coming in as an equal. I'm taking the same risk that you are. I want the same reward. And it's risk versus reward. And basically, these large firms feel like I can hand you 5% and you should be happy. And I can go walk away with 95%. And that's inequitable. It's not equitable.
5% is not high, is it? It's higher than what
It's higher than what they want to give you.
It's higher than what they actually offer.
Right.
So, thank you, Mr. Jones. I think we're ready to transition to our next segment, but I thank you for coming out and talking about your business and your experience, and wish you well in your future endeavors.
Thank you so much. You as well.
Thank you.
Wow, it was really a pleasure listening to all of that insightful information and tidbits of things that we should be doing as we're building our businesses and things to look out for. That was really great information about taking on loans and really understanding when you're ready to take on loans. Kyle and James, thank you. So now we've set the stage, and as our panel is getting ready to come on board, I'd like to just talk to you a little bit about Rosie's Girls. So Rosie's Girls is our program with Friendly Inn that targets middle school girls 5th through 8th grade that teaches them about carpentry and construction. Our Rosie's Girls were able to build jewelry boxes and picture frames and learn how to use a jigsaw, a drill, an impact, screwdrivers. The girls were so excited and want to repeat that. We might have an opportunity to be able to do this throughout the school year, so we are looking for additional volunteers to help us with our girls. And so please contact me if you're interested. We also have our crew program. We now have 3 young people that are certified in OSHA 10 and forklift certification, and are in the process of being able to be certified with the different tools that are available. So we are up and running with our crew program. We're excited about that. And then lastly, something I'd like to share with you, and this is the kind of information that you get when you join NAMC on a regular basis. But right now, on September 2nd, that's a Thursday, September 2nd, from 1 to 3 at the Woodhill Community Center, the Woodhill Contractor Inclusion and Outreach Open House. So this is with the Morose Brothers Construction and the Community Builders, CMHA. And so they are offering this open house where they will go ahead and discuss a presentation on how to bid for the project. So please, if you're interested, again, that's Thursday, September 2nd, from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Woodhill Community Center. All right, so at NAMC, we give you job leads, information, we give you training, and we keep you up to date about the different advocacy positions that are coming. We are closely watching that $1.3 trillion bill that's back into the House of Representatives, and we're going to trace where that money goes. in terms especially in Ohio. So stay tuned, and if you want to get updates, join NAMC. All right, so now we're going to turn over to our panel. I'd like to introduce our moderator, Chris House, who's the president of House Solutions, a technology firm that specializes in technology consulting and training, cybersecurity, hardware and software purchases and installs, and staffing. He is also a board member of NAMC. Chris?
Thank you so much, Lisa, for that kind introduction, and thank you everyone for joining our Level Up session. Again, my name is Chris House. I am board secretary for NAMC Northern Ohio chapter, and it is a pleasure really trying to serve the community and trying to really make a difference in Northeast Ohio. And I want to welcome our panel today, and I guess I'll start here on my left. Mr. Kyle B. Jones, who was really highlighted in the father-son, second-generation construction companies. And I think that's amazing that you have a legacy. And I think that's something that we all really try to do, is create a legacy. A little bit about Kyle. As you heard earlier, he is founder and president of KBJ Construction. KBJ Construction strategically focuses on general construction management, facilities, and grounds maintenance. Kyle has over 27 years of construction experience and was part of the construction management team responsible for high-profile projects such as Jacobs Field and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum. Thank you, Kyle, for joining us and preparing this session for us. Next to my left is Montree Rucker-Adams. Hello, Montree. Montree is President and Chief Visibility Officer for Visibility Marketing Inc., VMI, for all those who know. Okay, VMI helps businesses integrate strategic communications, proven behavioral modification methods, and organizational change management concepts. Montree helps companies increase visibility through branding, creative collateral, social media, advertising, public and media relations, web content, and publication. Thank you, Montree, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Next we have to Montree's left is Torian Spratt. Torian is business manager at Turner Construction, and he oversees the sales and marketing departments. He has performed leadership roles on multiple high-profile projects, such as the First Energy Stadium Modernization Project and the Cleveland Convention Center. Torian has played an instrumental role in Turner community affairs efforts as a facilitator of the Turner School of Construction Management and Turner's Ohio Inclusion Action Team. Torian, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, last but not least, we have Mark Cunningham. Mark serves as the Vice President, Ohio Director of Economic Inclusion and Community Affairs at Gilbane Building Company, and a assertive, proactive leader with over 30 years of experience in the construction industry. He has managed assignments that are technically challenging and require the collaboration of clients, architects, engineers, and contractors. Currently, he is leading work on the new global Sherwin-Williams headquarters in Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you for joining us, Mark.
Thank you so much, Chris.
All right. So, again, today we are going to be focusing on Marketing 101. And one of the things I really want to say is, obviously our members are construction companies. However, many of these nuggets and many of these tidbits that we kind of sprinkle throughout the session is really things that can create and build a foundation for any company. And so we just want to make sure that people hear and see construction, and then it's like, oh, that's not me. But I think the Marketing 101 and a lot of the subjects matter that we talk about actually can really work through any type of company. Okay, so as we begin, we'll start with Kyle. And Kyle, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your organization, and why the topic of marketing for your company is important to you?
Marketing is important I've been partnering, I've been doing a project with the Gilbane Building Company for a few years, and they keep coming to me with, what's your plan, your marketing plan, and it's necessary. It's your roadmap to how are you going to measure. It gives you you have deliverables along the way. So it's like I said, a roadmap. So, I'm heading to New York this weekend, and it's like, when I look at my GPS, you got different, mile markers
Sure.
and things like that. So you want to know that you're moving forward and not moving backward. So it's not identifying your customer is a large part of the marketing, but there's a whole lot more. It's your competition. What are they doing? What does the customer like about what they're doing? You just have to strategize in order to be able to give that elevator speech.
Okay.
So that you can get that foot in the door.
Okay.
So, and my background is marketing as well. So I went to actually school for marketing, and I learned construction on the job training.
Probably didn't hurt that your dad was in the field as well, right?
Yeah, he taught me everything I know.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you're saying, you know what, marketing encompasses research, pricing, customer avatars, all of that, right? Okay, well, thank you for sharing. Montree?
Yes, right?
Same question, and the question is, can you just give us just a little bit about yourself, your organization, and why the topic of marketing for your company is so important to you, your perspective as a marketer?
As a marketing company.
Yes. What you do, right?
That's what we do.
Yeah.
So, I would say around, it's 21 years ago, I started visibility marketing, and before that time, I was in, the public relations and communications field, and, working for various companies. But a lifetime ago, I was a sales engineer for a heavy vehicle truck manufacturer. And as I was working in sales, I clearly saw the distinction between sales and marketing. And I had my eye on that marketing department. That's what I wanted to do. So it's important because that's what we do for our clients. We market, or we help brand, and we help, the company is called Visibility Marketing because we help make you more visible. And I always like to say, people say, well, if you build it, will they come? No, they won't come because nobody knows it's there, right? So the marketing is it's like the cute part of sales and marketing. It's the graphics, it's the colors, it's the brand, it's who you are, it's, all about what you do for your clients. And that's marketing, it's the fun part. So That's why it's important, because I'm having a lot of fun.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Tori?
All right, thanks again for inviting me here. So I've been working with Turner Construction for about 17 years now, and most of that time has been in operations, but about a year and a half ago, I got the opportunity to lead our sales and marketing division. And everybody knows what happened a year and a half ago. We're right in the middle of a pandemic and couldn't meet clients face to face. All of our major clients stopped spending and put the projects on hold, and I really thought I was getting set up, So I'm saying this is the best time to go in sales and marketing. But from day one, I really realized it's really all about relationships. So I really focus on establishing those new relationships and working to maintain those relationships so we can bring in new sales. And far as marketing wise and sales wise, so important, obviously it's my main role at Turner, but it's really that first step to start the process to secure new work. And we have over 130 engineers, so I take it very seriously to make sure we have a project for them to go to. So appreciate being here today.
All right, beautiful, thank you. Mark?
Yes, good afternoon. Marketing to me is getting out, meeting individuals that have a need that we may be able to satisfy. And if you don't take the time to get out and engage in the community with various groups, it takes away from the opportunity for people to know that you even exist. So it's something that needs to be done. I have a colleague that is looking at a market right now, which is a K-12 schools. And he and I had a conversation just this morning about the fact that there's a conference that's coming up that he was saying he was not going to be engaged in. And I shared with them that if he got to the conference, it would give him an opportunity to get the exposure and get access to board members, to get an opportunity to just engage with other schools that may be looking for his services. If you can't share who you are and what you are if you keep your talents under a bushel basket. So it's important to let people know that you're out there and let them know that there are other options and you want to be the option of choice.
That's beautiful. And so even as I hear everyone speak, it's whether you're a solopreneur or have 200, team members in your staff, your brand, your marketing could either be you, could be your company, right? And so those things are definitely important when you're looking at marketing. So we're going to jump into, like I said, this is conversation, so I'm not interrogating you, right? This is not, this is not an inquisition. We're just going to have serious one-on-one or a 401 conversation, really just trying to educate our audience. So the question I'm going to find out, and feel free to answer anyone, is what marketing mistakes have you seen small companies make when trying to get your business?
Well, I'll take that first one.
Okay.
So a lot of times the first interaction we have with some of the small businesses is during the bidding process. So usually the mistake we see is simply not submitting all the requested information. So we put something out on the street and we're asking you for a breakout of your materials and labor and things of that nature, and you submit a one-line lump sum price and that's all you give us. I mean, you could have the lowest bid, but it's still not responsive. So I'd like to tell a lot of small companies, take your time, read all of the requested information and submit that, because that's your first time getting in front of that larger company. So just take your time.
Yeah, that's good. That reminds me, even in class, where you have, complete this math answer, right? And then they just give you the answer. You can get that on the calculator. I want to see, carry the one. I want to see how you got there, right?
Exactly.
And so you want to see the line items. How did you get here, right? Mm-hmm. What are the labor, materials, etc., right? Next.
I'd say that they don't know what they want. They want marketing, but they really haven't honed in on exactly what they want or need. So, it can take a long time. We do marketing audits, which means that we go through, what they have now, how they're marketing right now, so they, can decide how to go to the next level. And oftentimes, they don't know what it entails, right? What the project entails when they get it. And it's just doing their homework to really hone in on this is what I need, because marketing can be a lot of different things. You mentioned website, it could be collateral, it can be, email lists. It's a lot of different things. So for a company to sort of pinpoint what they need before coming in, it helps. We can help them through that process, but it helps if they have a little bit of idea what they need.
Gotcha. I understand.
Hey, Chris, I'd like to chime in here. One of the things that, and it's along the lines of what Florian was talking about, contractors that are small, trying to grow, trying to develop, have a fear of asking questions, maybe even during the bid process. And my counsel to any small firm that's going after work, don't be afraid to ask the questions. Oftentimes, you'll find out that there are other people that are looking to get a response to the same question. So just engage and allow the firms that you're trying to gain business from to understand that you have a grasp and a knowledge of what your business is, but you need a little more clarity. And there's no reason that you should not reach out and ask those questions and cause them to answer so you can be as responsive as you possibly can.
Okay. Kyle, did you want to take a shot at that? Not so much. Well, you spoke a lot in great length, even with your father, in regard to these subjects as well. So we can move on, but truly what you said in regards to don't be afraid. I think almost every level up session we've had still comes back to relationships, right? And so you can't just show up at a customer's door, right? And just say, give me some business. I got the best thing, right? Since sliced bread. You really have to do some market research to find out what are some of those things that the customer might need, right? How you can be a value-added partner, etc. So, but it still comes down to doing your research. How can you create this value to your clients? So it's all relationship driven. So thank you for that. Next question is, so what are the strategies would you give a company that wants to market their business but have limited budgets and resources? Go ahead, I know my quite a bit, right?
Well, I was mentioning that about 11 years ago in 2010 when we were celebrating our 10th anniversary, I put together a booklet called Be More Visible and Create More Interest in You, Your Product or Service. And in it are 60 different inexpensive ways, because this was before people were doing anything on the internet and all the, Google ads and all of that. So it has about 60 different ways, and one of them is clearly defined right here as joining, professional organizations, because as you mentioned, relationships, right? And I can just do a few more. It's volunteer, for opportunities. There are industry conferences. I know, I'm thinking post-COVID, right? Industry conferences would ask for volunteers, come and help out. And in that situation, you can meet a lot of people. Of course, ask for referrals. Once you've completed the job, ask them, for a referral and a testimonial, right? That's very inexpensive. And what I've seen lately are car signs. People with trucks and they have the signs of their business on the side and on the back. I have taken pictures and responded to some of those because, that person does this business. I was just looking for somebody to take care of my bunny rabbit because they have pet sitting services. I would have never found them had I had the sign on their car. So those are just a few things, but of course it's definitely relationships. It's, meeting people, talking to people, and continue that process. But the other thing I want to say is you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. I think one of the questions with, that some things that you don't do, and that's one of the mistakes that we have made is just not being consistent. If you're going to do a blog, you try and do it once a week. Podcasts are very inexpensive these days, so you can do that. Videos. There are a lot of inexpensive things that you can do to get in front of your clients, but first, you mentioned avatar. You do have to know who your client is and what they need.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm always taking pictures in my car of vehicle signs and cars and that kind of stuff. So safely, right? Anyone else want to answer that?
I guess I'll jump on just from a sales perspective. For as far as your budget, you should really be selective with where you spend your time and your money. So you can't chase every opportunity out there, else you'll blow your budget. So one thing I recommend is you have a go, no-go conversation for any major opportunity. So we do that for, if opportunity comes in the door, we'll sit down as a team, we'll talk about who's the client, do we have a relationship, who's the design firm, will they be an advocate for us in the room, do we have the right staff for this project to be really competitive, and who are our competitors, they may have did the last 10 projects there, and we know that it's just teed up to go that way as well. So I would say, to make sure you remain on budget, you really need to be selective and and have that no-go conversation early in the process.
That's good. And you're right. A lot of small businesses kind of make that mistake of just going to every conference.
Right.
And you're right. You can blow your budget pretty quickly
Yes.
doing that, right? Registration fees, hotel fees, car rental. Yeah, you can spend quite a bit.
Chris, real quick.
You can burn out, yeah.
Is what Tori mentioned, but the first thing is to have a budget.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Sometimes they don't have a working budget
Yeah,
or
yeah.
any type of budget. That's the first thing,
Yeah.
you know. Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that, but
Yeah.
you need
You need a
working
budget. Yeah, you gotta have a number in your
Yes.
head as far as what you want to spend, either monthly, annually, what have you. You know, I come across that as well, even with technology. It's like, oh, I just want some computers. Well, you know, what's your budget on spending this? Let's play it by ear. Well, you almost can't play it by ear. You need to know, right? Kyle, you were gonna say something?
Oh, no, those were great.
Oh, okay. Mark?
I really could not agree more with what I've heard already. You know, there are organizations is important. The Builders Exchange is a place that you can go and find out about things that are coming and start establishing those relationships. You know, oftentimes firms that are looking for partners, are looking for people to bring on and to be a part of their team, are looking for people they can get along with, people that they can relate to. And if you go to some of these organizational gatherings, some of the outreach that takes place, one of the things that you'll find is you start establishing a rapport with certain individuals. You know, you had mentioned the educational program that exists at Turner. Gilbane has something very similar. And if you're a smaller contractor interested in understanding the whole process, that's something you need to try to get engaged in. I'm sure Tori and you would have people could reach out to you and you could help them. I would be a good point of contact for the Gilbane program, and what we're trying to do is develop what the skill sets are as it relates to that, and you actually meet other opportunities through that. So you have to be smart, you have to be deliberate in terms of how you're going to grow your business, and the respect that Kyle was talking about with his father earlier, that will come, and people will say this individual is, or this entity is serious about what they're about to do. And when it comes right down to it, you know, the Turners of the world and the Gilbanes of the world, we're looking for people that are going to help us be successful, and we want to help you be successful at the same time.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, I tell you what's interesting, and one of the things I think that you said, Montreal, and I tell people this all the time. You know, it's okay to volunteer, right? Or join a board, or how do you get in front of people, right? Like-minded people. You know, when looking to actually get to the conference, you can see the guest list. You're like the first point of contact. And so, you know, one of the things I remember reading, even I think Mike Brown, one of our former Cavs coach, he actually volunteered I think in California, I think it was Golden State, but he volunteered his way into a job. And so it's just being there, being consistent, and really just showing people that, hey, I want to be on your team, right? And so how do you do that, right? How do you do that? By showing up is number one, okay? So I'm fairly new in business, and I'd like to get maximum exposure and market my company as a subject matter expert. Where do I begin? How do I land that customer, that project, right?
So, in reading this, the first thing I thought of, you know, let's say you're a mechanical contractor. If you specialize in the mechanical systems, those are the customers, those are the projects that you need to target. You know, you need to find out who is over those mechanical projects over at some different organization. from I can't think of anybody else other than a NASA or a Cleveland Clinic, but they have a lot of mechanical, they have a lot of buildings, so there's a lot of mechanical systems there. So you need to target, find out who your point of contact is, and target them, you know. And it's local, so you're not spending a whole lot of money, and you know, all you need is the first opportunity, I think.
Sure.
So.
You looking at me next?
If you have something to say.
Yes, I do. So how to position yourself to be a SME, you know,
Yes,
that SME.
me.
So it's the same as before, but one of the things I didn't mention is, you know, their industry trade publications. You can ask to be a contributor to write articles for that publication. You can also, we mentioned serving on boards and, you know, doing subject matter videos, subject matter podcasts, but utilize your social media for especially Facebook. And what you want to do is continue to be of value, and you're giving tips, and you're telling people the best way to do this or the best way to do that. And people will come to you because you are SME, because you know how to get things done, because they've read your article, they've listened to your podcast, so they already are familiarized with you. And that might be a good way to really get started because you're out there already, you're visible.
So is that, so one thing that I think I actually get from that is, so do you become a trusted resource? Is there trust that kind of comes with that?
Yes.
Okay.
There's trust that comes with that. Because if you're writing and giving information, if you're giving tips, if you're helping people with what they're doing on their job, then there's a trust that comes with that. You know, because you're not asking for money all the time. You know, you're giving industry tips and trade secrets, so to speak. So they trust you because you're not, you know, one of the things about sales is people always think, you know, you just coming for money. It's always about, your hand is always out, you just want to take my money. But this way, it may come eventually, but you're giving of your knowledge and your expertise without someone always having to pay for it.
Okay. And you give a little, you get a little bit back, right? You get more back. So, yes. All right. Tori?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, you want to become a resource for your clients. So I recommend if you can send out like a monthly or quarterly newsletter with those tips that is going to be of value to your clients. It's going to be right at their fingertips. So when they have that opportunity, they're going to be like, you know, I'm going to call them up. They always give me this good information. Let me call them and give them an opportunity now. So creating that value is how you're going to get started.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
I really have nothing that I can contribute beyond what the SME mantra has provided to us.
SME. You know, some people might think that's short for SMEDIA.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's subject matter experts. Absolutely. So what questions should I ask? You know, we all have a checklist, you know, when we're looking for, you know, best auto mechanic or best dry cleaner, right? So when I'm looking for a marketing firm, what are some of the questions or what is the checklist I should be looking for? Or, you know, companies should look for when we're looking for a good marketing firm?
Okay, that's me, right?
That would be you.
That's me.
Well, you want to see other projects that this marketing company has engaged in, and you also want to see some projects that are similar to your company. You know, you wanted to see what they've done and any projects that sort of relate to you. If you're looking for websites, you want to see websites. If you're looking for creative collateral, you want to see some of that. You also want to ask for a free audit, and that's, you know, hopefully they will say yes to one, but it's going through all of your marketing materials, you know, how you've marketed your organization, and helping them for free because it's a, you know, a quick way of just giving them tips. You may give them one tip, you know, they probably need 35, you know, to get to where they want to go, but you give them one or two, you know, and say you should do this and this will help you. And one of the biggest things is time frame. You want to ask, how long will this take? So many times people are looking for something to get done, and inevitably it's going to take 10 times longer. But people are thinking that they can get a website in 2 weeks, and it takes 12. And then they're upset because it didn't get done at the time frame that they thought it would. But I think that's very important. Ask, how long will this project or engagement take?
Okay, so create the expectations,
Mhm.
right?
Yes,
those
set the expectations, yes.
Okay, okay. Anyone else? Want to answer that, or you want to leave it to the SME?
We leave this to
That's good. In my tree, obviously I know you were friends too, right? And so I do know that in many cases you speak to your customers on what's the outcome? What do you want the outcome and deliverable to be, right? And then sometimes you work backwards. How do we get there, right? So that's also part of it. So thank you, SME, Mindtree, for answering that. Sales and marketing are normally always linked together. I like to see it's almost like ketchup and mustard, right? And so what's the difference between the two? How do you split them apart and identify it? I know you said something earlier, Mindtree, kind of leading to that, but what's the difference between the two?
I can take it. So obviously they are linked at the hip.
Mhm.
I could not do my job without my marketing manager, Bree. So shout out to Bree.
Okay.
I appreciate
Hey,
everything
Bree.
that you're doing. She is fabulous. So.
Okay.
But from a sales perspective, we're more client oriented. We're out there externally trying to find the leads, get the opportunities in the door. Then once we do have an opportunity, we'll kind of set the vision for how we're going to respond to the RFP or help coach up the team when it comes time to doing like the interview prep and putting together the numbers. But then we work hand in hand with the marketing manager. They're the one that actually produce the materials. So they're writing the InDesign files, making everything look pretty and the proposals that we're going to deliver off. They stay engaged with the workers and get the photos that we can use, all of the content. Anytime we have those good news stories, they're going to be doing the social media blast. So they produce a lot of the content that you see, and we help out with that overall vision from a sales perspective.
Okay. I like that a lot. Mark, you had something?
I just wanted to say, even being an operations person, I'm still always selling. And that's a big part of, and the sale comes in the execution, which helps the client understand that, yes, this is a firm that I want to be a partner of mine as I move forward. On the marketing side, oftentimes I'll have clients that and I've met someone and they say, well, tell me about what it is that you do. I need to give them some marketing data that helps them understand the full breadth and of what our firm is able to deliver. And I think that is important. It grows with time in terms of as you develop, we have more resume and pretty pictures. I think it's something that's always important because people can relate to the pictures. As Madri indicated earlier, the colors, all those types of things are important. But sales is actually trying to get to win, trying to get to this is what I can do. Now you've got documentation that supports what you've already said.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add that marketing brings awareness to the product, right? So now you know it exists, but sales brings that awareness into a paying customer because they're not a customer yet. You're just wooing them with all the stuff, but you want some monies to exchange hands, and that's sales.
Okay.
That's sales. You're getting them to pay you for all
Okay.
the things that you have to offer.
So that's beautiful, and as I think through it, I remember going through, like Lowe's or Home Depot, and I would see maybe paint or caulk, and you see this end cap, and they just have it aligned, maybe in a pyramid shape, and it's all kinds of little bells and whistles on it, and that's the visualization. So as a potential customer, I'm walking past that end cap, and I'm sitting there, it's like, I might not even really wanted to buy paint, but just seeing it kind of just invokes, I think, something mentally, right? Something happens in your brain. It's like, you know what? That's nice, and I think that's something I want to purchase, right?
Yeah, it's that candy bar that's right at the end.
Oh yeah. I hate they do that. I hate they do that.
Right there. You know, so you can be a paid customer.
Yes.
Get that
Yes,
Snickers.
get those impulse buys going, for sure. All right, well, thank you. So here's something interesting. Most people are always on a hunt for a customer, right? We're always in searching for a customer. Let's flip it. How do you have your customer find you? How do you market yourself to the point where, you know what? I'm gonna call Montreal. I'm gonna call Kyle, right? Torian. I want what you're selling and the products you're giving. Kyle?
So in a very elementary way, you know, because I think elementary. As a minority contractor, you want to get your certifications. You want to get your certifications with the city, the county, the state, EDGE, all of those certifications. I know when I started my company, when I got federally certified, I was in the 8A program, and I had government purchasers calling me directly and say, hey, I have this project, you want it? You know, and those kind of things, those small projects catapult you to the next level, you know, because you have regular income coming in, and you can go to the bank and say, hey, you know, this is coming in, I need a line of credit for X number amount. And the line of credit helps you be able to be liquid while you wait for your payment to come in, you know, so you can pay whatever you need to pay.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, I
Take a
would
stab.
say, from my standpoint, about 75% of our projects come from repeat clients. So where we're always worried about getting that new client, we really need to establish those relationships and continue to stay engaged. So we try to, like you said, everybody is selling for Turner, whether you're an engineer or you're a project exec.
Sure.
So reach out to those clients and those design firms to see what they're working on. And that's how they're going to find you, because you're going to stay in constant communication with them. So that is so key to just really stay engaged.
Hey, Chris, I'd like to add to that. One of the things, and it's right in line with what Torian just said. One of the things that we do, we go after sizable projects because of who we are. Turner does the same type of a thing. Sometimes people will approach us and say, I've got this project and it's doing whatever, but it's not large enough for us to be able to actually go after it. But if, as a smaller firm, you are demonstrating to our firm that you are able to perform, references come and have an effect on reputation. And we would not hesitate to say, you know, that's not something that we can do, but you might want to talk to KBJ, and I can give you his number. Let's get you in touch with him. So performance is so important, because now it becomes word of mouth, and that's where some of the development, the growth, and then there's future projects that are going to come out, and you'll always be on the list for those future projects, that you can get something that works within your wheelhouse and you can handle within the framework of your capacity.
Okay. So I heard past performance, I heard relationships, I heard trust, right? I heard being liquid. So you want maybe a diverse set of projects, so that you have different, you might want someone that's gonna pay that same day, and to have that 30, that 90, customer, so that you're kind of liquid, right? So that kind of helps, to your point as well. So how do you use social media or your website or, any of those things, LinkedIn, Facebook, all those things, to help promote your business and help establish you as a SME? I love that term, so I'm gonna be using it.
Same and all that.
you use it consistently. And I think that's one of the, the things that a lot of companies don't do, because oftentimes it takes time. And oftentimes people don't have the time or, the manpower. Larger companies have a separate department to just feed information to their social media platforms. But when you're a one-person company or a two-person company, you may not have the time to do all that. So that's when you grab that young person that lives down the street or that college student and ask them to help you do it. But it's to stay visible. And they say that at least 5 times a week or once a day, between 5 and 6 times a week or once a day, you should post something somewhere. And everybody doesn't need all the platforms. You may only need one. Some people only use Twitter. Some people use Facebook, but
Okay, is it okay that I can, on my business Facebook account or Instagram account, can I go ahead and put Junior's birthday party and maybe a little vacation that I just had,
But some people say that you should position yourself as an all-around human being.
Okay.
Right, so maybe you don't always want to show that food that you got at Red Lobster.
But it's
Maybe once in a while.
It's okay to show some,
Yes.
piece of humanity, right?
Yes,
that
absolutely.
you're not a
just
robot.
all business.
But you don't want all
No.
of Junior's birthday cake, right?
Right,
Or
especially
all
if
of your
it's-
vacation.
Right. Especially if it's a business site. Like, I know LinkedIn sort of frowns upon it. Some of the people, if you see too much people start talking about this is supposed to be a business site,
Yeah.
we don't want to see, all this other stuff. But in most cases you can, 1 or 2 every now and then sprinkle it in. You're a human being, you got kids, you got a family, you like to go on vacation. It's fine.
And people might feel that that's a connection.
Yes,
Right, I was gonna say.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tori, what were you gonna?
No, I'm gonna say that'd be a good connection to it. So we use our website and social media to really tell a good story.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something good in the community, or you're topping out a project, or you're turning it over, those are the type of stories you want to get out there.
Okay.
So that's how we use ours. And just a good recommendation for any small business that's trying to put their website together. Keep it clean. You want it to be nice and visual. You don't want to have a lot of text. You can always click on a link and get more information, but really keep your website clean and have it so they can really find your contact information. I can't tell you how many times you got to click 5 different levels to find out who's running the company and how to even call them. So those are just some tips to keep your website up.
You like the music that when you go to the website, the music that's playing on there?
It depends on what the
I don't think they're
company
doing
is,
that.
But
I don't think they're doing that.
call you
I don't think they're doing that so much anymore. But that used to be a big thing.
It was.
I would be at work or something, and I go to this website, and this music start playing, right? And it's kind of like, whoa, warn me before I, go here. Anybody else?
The only thing I would say, Chris, and just to add to what's already been said, is you have to do it. That in and of itself, try it, and you're going to make adjustments along the way, but let people know who you are, that you exist, and if you had a celebration on a project, it was a ribbon cutting, it was a groundbreaking, it was a topping out ceremony. Those are all the types of things, even if you're not the general contractor on the project, let it be known that, hey, this happened and I was there. Those are the types of things that people like to see.
Sure. I know in many cases, to your point, Mark and Tori, it's you want to engage, your audience. So let's say that you, Turner Gilbane, posted something about a project, right? This is upcoming. We're working on the next Cleveland Zoo, right? And so, some of the things that we've done is just start engaging. It says, that's beautiful architecture. What are you doing for this? Or I would love to see this. And just start a conversation and a dialogue. And they're kind of like, hey, I'm paying attention, right? And I would love to be a evaluated partner. So in many cases, you want to just engage them right there, right? Facebook, LinkedIn, what have you. And then I know another thing that there's so many marketing tools out there, with SEO and if you want to be at the top of the food chain on Google, right? For HVAC or for construction management. Those are things you actually want to work with a higher, marketing professional on. How do I get my name up there, especially for the Cleveland market or Northeast Ohio? So those are some added tools as well. And so I know I'm getting the high sign here, so I have one last question for you. And so normally what we when we're looking at projects and jobs, and maybe I don't have like the best reputation on, let's say I screwed something up, right? You screwed a project up and you're able to kind of fix it, but it's still a bad taste maybe in that client's mouth that, hey, you almost kind of put me in a bad place. How do we go about using marketing and relationships to try to clean some of that up? Any thoughts on that?
Change the name of your company.
Take it into your company and leave. Okay. Or you can just leave, right? You can just leave.
I would say that, in the public relations arena, we say tell the truth and tell it often.
Yeah.
Because there's no one walking on this earth that hasn't made a mistake.
Gotcha.
So you can definitely say this was the mistake and this is how we fixed it. Okay, so I don't think that it would tar your name or mar your reputation forever, but just be transparent and open about what happened on that project and how you were able to rectify it and how you were able to fix it.
Okay, so own up to it,
Yes,
right? And there's some corrective actions and all of that. You're right. And you're right. I guess that's why they put a eraser on the other side of a pencil, right? So you can erase that and change that. Anyone, Torian or Mark, you have anything to?
The only thing, I absolutely agree with what Montre just said. And all too often, people become embarrassed or they feel that, well, I have to maintain this presence of being pristine. We all make mistakes, and especially in an organization as large as ours, where you have 3,500 people working for you, you're not going to be able to control everything that happens. But you need to, one, get a debrief with whoever it is that, whatever the situation was, correct it, make certain that you're there and you're side by side with your client. And, we had a project years ago that a lot of bad things happened from a standpoint of construction challenges. But the client said, I will never do another job in construction because I'm going on to another industry. But I will say that Gilbane stood by us through every bit of it and gave us good counsel. So that in and of itself is that's a good marketing segment that you can put on a document. So when we're selling new jobs, to have that and be able to use someone as a reference and say, this is what they said about the project. And it turned out to be a successful project at the end, but things happen in life. The challenge is, what are you going to do in order to make my life better or easier as we go through this?
Sure. Tori, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, seriously, we both large companies and our name is extremely important. So we like to do what's right even when nobody's looking.
Sure.
We'll lose money on a job because that's the right thing to do. So you definitely have to own up to the issue and show how you corrected it. And I think that the client is always going to appreciate that. So.
Okay, so that's just communicating. It's still relationships, right?
Yeah.
If you don't really know that owner or your customer, then you might not feel comfortable coming back in and saying, hey, here's some trouble I'm having, or here's something I'd like to address early on, and keeping those communication channels open. So, all right, so thank you all for that. And I want to, this was truly informative, and I really thank Kyle for bringing this, to the forefront here, because sometimes we forget about that. We forget about all of the things you need in marketing. right? We're so busy trying to get that customer. It's kind of like, well, how are you going to get that customer? What's some strategies you're going to put in place, right? And so I want to thank everyone on the panel for participating and giving of your time, treasure, and talent. And at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa Bottoms, where she will close us out.
What a wonderful panel discussion. And it comes down to knowing who is your customer, what are their pain points, and how then do you become value add? And then how do you show what it is that you have? So I think it's really important. Marketing is very key. I want to thank everybody for coming to our Level Up session. But before we leave, I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to our host sponsor. We're going to have Latoya Walker-Minor come and talk a little bit about RTA, ways to get involved with RTA, and anything else that she would like to say. Latoya joined RTA in March of 2021 as the Deputy General Manager for Administration and External Affairs. Latoya brings to this role 3 decades as a champion for public, private, and philanthropic partnerships as a nexus for the way forward. I've had the opportunity to work with Latoya over the last 10 years when I was in my other role, and she's a wonderful person. She's a firm believer in that leadership matters, and her professional philosophy is engaging, cooperative, and collaborative in the effort to build community. These values are why Latoya believes she's in the right place right now at RTA. And they have a new strategic plan and a mission to connect the community. Latoya is working to reposition RTA's brand as an essential partner to the community, economic, and workforce ecosystems in our community. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Latoya.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am delighted to be here, standing here as a representative of RTA, and more than that, a Clevelander, a diehard Clevelander up through the Cleveland Public Schools, and my entire career committed to this community. I am committed to this community, and I am delighted to see Mr. Jones here, because far too often, we do not get the opportunity to really celebrate the shoulders of living legends that we stand on. And as the granddaughter of a man who had a construction company and it was not able to survive through the generations, I know how difficult that is. And so I certainly want to pay homage to you for what you've gone through, known and unknown, as an African-American Black man trying to make it with that type of company that you have. I certainly salute you because I understand a bit of those struggles from my grandfather's company and his existence. Thank you for everything and paving the way for NAMC and the leadership in NAMC to even exist. Certainly I want to do that first and foremost. As I look at who's around this table, oh my God, I remember Cal like 15 years ago when I was at OEO and the Office of Equal Opportunity at the City of Cleveland, and talking to him about his company and his goals, and to see him today and to have watched him grow his company and to grow as a leader in his field, it just makes my heart smile. Montri and I go way back to her days when she was at what was then called Cleveland Public Schools, and watching her and the courage that she took to really start her company, because it takes courage to walk away from industry and say, I'm gonna make it, and she has. Oh my God, Torn. When he said he's been at Turner for 17 years, I mean, I met him 15 years ago when he was new at Turner, and we were in the midst of just really recreating what is still known as the Walker Construction Program. And to learn today that he's been elevated to a space to really take that company to new levels, I'm just thrilled and delighted to learn that, see that.
And I met you right before I left the city of Cleveland with the work that Gilbane is doing. You were working with myself and Dr. Melissa Burrows on some of the things. And so I know Gilbane and first met them on the Flats East Bank project, which had about 45, 50 different contractors in multiple levels. And so I say all that to say, I am excited that NAMC exists. I wish it had existed 65 years ago for people like my grandfather, but I am certainly glad that his shoulders and the shoulders of your dad, we stand on those shoulders, and that is why it is critically important that we have NAMC, that we have minority business inclusion, that we support and advocate for women-owned businesses because they matter. And they matter, and because they matter, when we start talking about leveling up, this is what matters, because this is not a give thing. We don't deserve, just to have something handed to us, because Torrin and Mark work inside large industries and they can only support to a point. What's critically important for minority female business and local businesses is what I call can-do. Competencies, awareness, networking with intention, research with a fine-tooth comb, and responsiveness. That is the responsibility of minority female and local businesses. You want the job, earn the job, deliver. It is critically important that you deliver. I heard one of the speakers indicate that most of their work is repeat business. And what I know from 10 years of sitting in the seat of OEO at the city of Cleveland is that that is a very true statement, but that only happens if you deliver. You've got to deliver, and you've got to network with intention. And you've got to network outside of the next job. You've got to nurture those relationships, hone in on those relationships, cultivate those relationships with intention, and always look the part. Be the part and be ready to speak about whatever it is, because you can walk through. I remember walking through with a couple of people at Turner on the Browns project and what we were going to do and what they needed, and just quickly being able to adapt to. I know about 15 companies that can do that, and just kind of putting that into the B2G Now system, which RTA now has, and pushing that out, saying this is a potential opportunity. But that readiness has to be there. And then I think lastly, don't overcommit. Don't chase the dollars by overcommitting. Because when you chase the dollars and overcommit, you're not going to deliver someplace. And delivering is essential. Because when you have people on the inside, like Torrin, like Mark, who report up and are advocating for minority, female, local business inclusion, and they have leaders that have bought in and support that, we can't let them down by not delivering. So delivery is essential. And so I am glad to stand here and just needed to say those things, because I am proud of the leadership that has pulled together NAMC. In my new capacity at RTA, as the Deputy General Manager for Administration and External Affairs, certainly my heart is still out there for these businesses. And when Carl asked me, I have to be able to talk about those because it's meaningful, because it's personal. And to be here at this time under a leader who is, hell-bent on connecting RTA to this community in a way that's never been postured before is essential for me. It's personal to make sure that public transit is connected to this community. It is the way people get to work. It is the way people get to healthcare appointments. It is the way that people get to arts and entertainment. It is there. And we need to make sure that it's part and parcel to workforce, to economic development, and to all of those things that we do. And so that's a large part of my job, is connecting a community. And so I know that I'll be seeing each of you in various capacities as we continue to move forward. And I continue to push Carl from my seat. Although he's not in my portfolio, I'm always talking to him about, did you do this? Expand to that, because it really does matter. And at the end of the day, relationships matter. And so coming through from one another as we continue to advocate to advance our community, our city, and our economy is what it's all about. So thank you for this opportunity to share a few words.
Thank you very much, Latoya. That was a wonderful set of words and encouragement for all of us to know that it really is about us working together and reaching out and being a part of our ecosystem here in Greater Cleveland. I want you all to know we appreciate you showing up. We also want to let you know that if you're considering joining NAMC Northern Ohio chapter, to let us know, tell a friend. You can follow us on social media. If you would like to see or would like to sponsor one of our events, please feel free to contact me, Lisa Bottoms, or Arian Kirkpatrick, and our information is on the website. Lastly, we would like to thank our platinum sponsors for our fantastic event today. We'd like to thank First Energy Foundation, our technology host, Low Key Entertainment, and of course, Greater Cleveland RTA, Regional Transit Authority. Again, thank you, and we will see you again September 23rd. Have a great day.